it's Ginny and Tim at DS Tech, and we're talking about a holiday tabletop special today, and I'll have to ask Tim what he means. What's a tabletop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we have one right here, but anyway, I'm sure he'll describe it. If you have any questions, drop them below this video, and at the end, I'll tell you how to get your free security assessment.
So today's episode is going to be primarily about incident response, disaster recovery, and business continuity plans. And a lot of times you'll do what's called a tabletop exercise, where you're just discussing different scenarios and things, and we'll get more into detail there.
So they call it tabletop because it's a meeting?
Yeah, basically, pretty much. And so what's kind of spawned this whole episode, if you haven't already been aware, is that recently one of Amazon's, they call AWS, recently had an outage. So lots of online systems happened to go down for a couple of hours or half a day, even longer, depending on where you were.
My kids couldn't do their homework.
Yeah.
All day.
Oh no, I can't do my homework.
I know. So it's like they're emailing their professors. Can we have an extension? Because we can't get it done.
Right. No, fair enough. And so that's where hopefully the professor has, no, you can still write it out and I'll take them by hand.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what that's
well,
his business continuity.
They couldn't do their research either because the databases were down too.
Buy an encyclopedia. No, but I get it. It's just for sure.
I had an encyclopedia.
Yeah, no, so did I. Yeah, but anyway. So what had happened? So this talks about their analogy is, think it's a stretch. Imagine that there's a Christmas morning, right? Your family gets gathered around the tree, cocoa, cookies, all that kind of stuff. You're ready to open your presents, and all of a sudden, boom, the power goes out. So that's kind of like all of a sudden just something happens, and you have to kind of plan for that scenario, and there's different things for that. So
candles and lanterns on hand.
Exactly. And you still open the presents and have a good time. So in this one, we're going to talk about incident response, disaster recovery, and the business continuity. Again, the pun here is the 3 wise plans instead of the 3 wise men. So the biggest one here is talking about the cloud versus a snow day. So we love the cloud. It's flexible, it's scalable, it makes our lives easier most of the time.
Yeah.
But here's the truth, even the biggest, most reliable cloud providers such as Amazon, Microsoft, and Google can still have downtime. It's very rare, but it can still happen.
But it does
so when that happens, your data might still be safe, but your access to it will be temporarily snowed in. So think of it like Santa's sleigh stuck in a blizzard. The toys are still in the bag, but nobody's getting delivered until the skies clear out. So if your entire business grinds to a halt because you can't reach your systems, that's just not an IT problem, it's an operational problem. And so that's where business continuity and disaster recovery can come in. So understanding the main difference, here's like the 3 things I talked about in a brief definition of, they're very similar and they work together, but they are a little bit different. Your incident response plan is the plan that you do right after something happens. So think about, who do you call, priority contacts, how are you going to communicate? Do you contact through a chat system, through a phone still, through your cell phones, backups? You have various things written out so that way if there was a true disaster and you can't communicate, say your phones go down, your emails go down, all your systems go down, how do you communicate then? And so you have different alternate scenarios on how to communicate, and that one's usually printed out physically, and the owners will keep that because if you have it digitally in the cloud somewhere and you can't access your plan, well, it's no good to you. So you want to have your plans physically printed out to have an access on key stakeholders.
How would you communicate?
It all depends. I've heard crazy stories where there was an MSP who got hit and they lost everything, so they went back to post-it notes, like wargaming it, where they had pink post-it notes for technicians and yellow post-it notes for customers, and they had all their customers and they had technicians, and they were just moving them around as they were moving locations to try to track where everyone was, to try and get everyone back in the worst case of all case scenarios. Otherwise, typically you'll make a quick, maybe an alternate, like a Slack channel or an alternate Teams channel, right? Like if you assume, say, your Microsoft accounts are all hacked and everyone's reading everything you're doing.
But what if your internet's down?
Well, then you have some sort of redundant internet, like cell phones, hopefully,
gotcha.
Or some sort of alternate method. I mean, get it so as crazy as if you're on like a construction site, you got walkie-talkies, I guess. Alternate.
Yeah.
It kind of just depends on the business and what you have, and if it's a total out scenario, or usually it's a smaller scale.
In other words, just have a backup plan.
Have a backup plan, and you talk through all the different scenarios from minor outage to worst case. A tornado hits our building and everything is just wiped out. What do you do there? Because it's not just IT outages like ransomware is what a lot of people may be thinking.
Yeah.
You want to plan for every scenario, not just IT outages, but weather, insider theft, all kinds of crazy stuff that can happen. You can plan different scenarios and kind of think about it before it happens. Disaster recovery, different from incident response, is about getting them back online. This is like about restoring from your backups, alternate locations. Where are we going to meet if our building goes down? Do we have a backup staging location that we all meet at? Temporary office? Are we all working remote? All those kind of things. And then your business continuity plan is kind of a big picture on how your business is functioning during the downtime. So that would be like, say you worked at a retail store and your credit card machines go down. Well, you still take payments via cash or check or whatever. You might have a backup system in place, but same
Maybe
thing.
the old
Yeah, the
slider.
old slider. So it's about having, how do you keep operating assuming your emails goes down? Do you just stop, or do you have an alternate method, channel to communicate? Same thing with your phones go down, your servers go down. Maybe you have line of business software that you have 4 different systems that run your business, right? You have like an inventory system, an accounting system, whatever. And if one of those systems go down, how do you still function without that one system? Maybe you do it by paper and then redo it by hand when it comes back online. It all really depends. I can't just say this is what you do in this scenario because every business is different.
Yeah.
But
every situation is different.
having those discussions and talking about what to do in the scenario and how long is it down before we activate our plan, or if we're down for 10 minutes, we don't need to all of a sudden go, crazy. But if it's down for 2 or 3, 4 hours and it looks like it's not coming back, maybe we should start turning on the plan and working through that. So those are all different things we'll define as we go through that.
That's like at home with the power goes out, right?
Yeah.
If it's only a couple hours, big deal.
Right.
But if it looks like it's going to be
better
a day
get the generators
or two,
and the freezer's got to get taken care of. Our food's spoiling. Exactly.
What's the plan?
So the importance of having a plan, again, most companies don't have a complete incident response or continuity plan. They even maybe have actually tested them, where they have this great plan on writing, but they've never actually gone through it. It's kind of like having a fire drill with your kids, right? You have fire drills all the time just in case the horrible event happens, but everyone then can be like, you grab your brother, your sister, you make sure you get out, whatever you talk about with them, and you show the escape routes, and actually running it through them where you scare them at 3 a.m, like, wake up, fire. You got to practice it once, right? And you have to do that just because that way, if in a true event, just like in that, there's a lot of emotions going around. People are upset, frantic, all kinds of different things, and you're making decisions under the stress can usually lead to mistakes. So you having a good, proper plan that you can follow through and keep everyone on target really helps in a scenario that may be very stressful. So again, a strong plan will have key contacts who you're calling, IT leads, vendors, all your emergency services. You should not listed here, but you should have if it's cybersecurity, your cybersecurity insurance should be contacted very early in that as well to let them know what's happening. You want to have clear roles defined as far as who's doing the communicating, who's allowed to speak to who's doing what. And so that way it's not like who's taking care of this. It's like everything is already written out for various people within that they can actually go through. Physical copies, yes, printed, because once your systems are offline, well, you can't access them. So have a physical copy of your plans for all the key stakeholders in that plan. Alternative communication channels. So phone trees, radios, group text, whatever works when email doesn't. It's really whatever depends on your business, whether you have a whole second.
What's a phone tree?
A phone tree talks about, like, if you call this number, it will kind of go through a bunch of contacts. So think of a phone tree as like if someone calls DS Tech, right? There's press 1 for emergency, 2 for regular. So there could be an emergency phone tree that you have set up that you call this number, and it instantly starts going through the top 10 contacts automatically, or calls them automatically set up for you. So if you have a VoIP system set up, you can work with us and we can set up a special DID number. You usually have to pay for a certain phone number, right? That's a special number that's not public, but you call this number and it instantly starts calling all the people that are in charge. And we know that this is kind of, think of the president with like the red phone, right? The red phone rings, you're like, it's like, someone's calling the call tree, something real bad is happening right now. So think of that. You can set up a system like that to possibly use depending on your system goes down or not, though.
I didn't know you could do that. That is interesting. That's cool.
And then, so talking about the tabletop Christmas exercise. So the favorite part is the tabletop exercises where we get to talk about this. And again, this is kind of joking, saying no, not Dungeons and Dragons, but we're talking about a holiday rehearsal dinner for your incident response plans. So everyone is gathering around a table, maybe with some cookies and cocoa, and they walk through different what if scenarios. So kind of going to the Christmas analogy with AWS, scenario 1 is the AWS outage hits on December 23rd. Your e-commerce site is now down. Santa's digital gift list won't load. What's your first move? So then you just kind of, you bring this up to the owners, and obviously this is kind of like a little joking, but it is like if your payment processors goes down and it's Black Friday, what are you doing as a retail store?
Yeah.
It's like things could happen. Scenario 2, a staff member accidentally deletes all of your client data while just trying to do some spring cleaning before the holidays. Or how do you
Or
recover?
wipes out your
Or wipes
daughter's
out your-
phone.
Yeah, exactly. It's just gone.
It's another private story.
Scenario 3, a blizzard knocks out internet and power at your main office. How do you keep operations going? Maybe all your satellite offices are great, but the hub's down. Do you have a plan for just like those half in, half out scenarios? So each scenario gets people thinking about who is responsible, how do we communicate in that scenario, what resources do we actually have access to, and it can be kind of fun, it can be collaborative, but it really kind of is a good way to find gaps in your systems where you just talk about if this goes down, how would you happen? And if you have an answer of like, I don't know, that's a legitimate answer, and that's perfectly fine, because then the idea is we can then plan to make that so you don't have an I don't know answer. You'll have either an alternate method, or we can brainstorm some possible ideas to help you so you're not having that. I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer, and you can always grow from that. Don't be ashamed if you don't have a plan for every scenario yet, because it's really hard to do that. So I guess, the takeaway final lessons is just, the AWS incident kind of reminded everyone that redundancy does matter. All your eggs are in one basket. Sometimes it's good to have either an offline system or a backup way of operating that once the system comes online, you can still enter everything digitally if needed. So to be able to run on paper still, other than purely digital, could be a useful backup depending on your business. Local backups that can run offline. So if you had say your server was 100% in the cloud, but you had a backup appliance, a disaster backup appliance, technically we could spin that appliance up to function like a server locally in your business till the cloud comes back. And so as long as it has a full image, you might be off by just like an hour or two of data depending what happened and how your backups are set up. But we could totally do that sort of a thing if you have, like they call it a BDR, or an actual server system locally in your office that we can turn on into a server at the will. And again, on-premise fallback systems for critical operations. So in other words, keep a spare reindeer because when Rudolph's nose goes dim, you still need to give those deliveries out and you still need directions. So again, in closing, don't be the Grinch who forgot the backup. At the end of the day, having a good incident response plan, having a good continuity plan isn't just about protecting the technology, but it's about protecting the people, productivity, the peace of mind of everyone during the scenario, so they actually have rules and a plan to follow, so not everyone's just panicking. So again, in this holiday season, between the cookies and carols, take a few minutes to ask yourself, what's our plan if the cloud takes a snow day? Who do you call first? Do you know who you call first on the list, or even the top 3? And when was the last time you actually practiced? And that's something that we do with our clients. If you want to have a tabletop exercise with us, reach out to DS Tech. If you're already one of our clients, we'll happily go over an incident response plan, help you create one if you don't already have one. We can help you build all these kind of things and make sure that you're prepared. Nothing says happy holidays like being ready for anything and having that just peace of mind that if something were to go bad, you're taken care of and you have a plan in place to keep business going. So, yeah.
Well, drop DR or something. What were the 3 wise plans? DR,
incident response,
IR,
disaster recovery, and
DR,
then business continuity
and business
plan.
continuity.
So BCP. Yep.
Okay, those were the 3 wise plans. And if you want to do a tabletop exercise with us, drop a comment or go to dstech.net and fill in the form to contact us. I'll bring the cookies.
Yeah.
And the cocoa.
You can bring the sweet stuff, and then we'll get you thinking about the not so sweet sour.
But you got to let me know that you're having one, and then so
yeah.
Do that. And then also, while you're on our website, look for that free security assessment, because that's a good way to get started with us too. Yeah. So make it a great day. Make your holidays safe. See you next time. Pain in the butt.